What is goody, guys? Welcome back to the dev channel, Max Codes, all the good codes. Today, I'm going to show you how we can get this animation into our app. Obviously, this isn't like some animation you're going to be implementing into your apps, but it's going to teach you how to animate auto layout constraints programmatically with layoutIfNeeded and NSLayoutConstraint and UI view animations, okay? So you're going to learn a whole bunch. And let me just compile this one more time because it's obviously a fixed application, no like features or anything, basically just concepts I'm going to teach you in this video, okay? And it's going to be really beneficial. So I really hope you stick around. Let's go ahead and jump into it by basically creating a new Xcode project, right? So go ahead and create a project and choose single view application. And I'm just going to call this Pro Swift Animations. And then I'm going to put this in here. And I'm going to make a whole entire course on animations, showing you all kinds of animations. And there's a chance if you're watching this a few weeks from me posting it, that course is available now in the description. So go ahead and check and see if it's there, if that's something you want to do. But basically what I'm going to do here is open up my, not open, but increase my font size a bit here. And we're just going to get started. I'm super sick of making these huge long videos that a lot of people don't watch because I just kind of mumble on. So I'm going to hustle in this video and show you how to do this really quick. Okay. So basically we're not going for the same exact thing, but we're going to do something similar to it just to show you how to animate from positions, animate the height and width and stuff like that. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it by first basically setting a background onto our view controller, because while the background doesn't really matter, I kind of like having a background on the screen that looks good. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to type in this code. Basically what you're going to want to do is just say image view and then UI image view named, or image view, UI image view, image named BG. Okay, so just get that line of code in there. And then what we're going to do is get an actual image in here, because you'll see that we don't have an image in here. So go ahead and go to unsplash.com and get an image, or you can just click the link that I've provided and with an image in it if you want, right? I'm just going to rename it to BG. Okay. So I just have an image in here, and you don't have to put an image in here. So feel free to not do that. I'm just going to do it because I think it makes it look nice. And then we're just going to say view.add subview, and then I'm going to say image view. And then this is a bit big, so I'll pull it back. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to say image view dot frame is equal to UI. Let's just say view.frame. Now, normally I'd use auto layout, but it's just going to be the background of the screen, so it doesn't really matter, right? So this is about to go away because I've now typed in some code and compiled it. So let's just give it a second to boot up, and then we will go from there, okay? All right, so we have our image, and it looks great. I'm just going to change one more property. I'm going to say image view.content mode is .scale aspect fit. That way, well, aspect fill actually, that way it will fill the entire thing while preserving the aspect ratio. So it's going to not look like it's like squeezed together or stretched depending on the type of image you have, or depending on the ratio of image you have, whatever. You can see that it looks really nice, right? Like that just really looks good to me. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a box on the screen, and we're going to initialize it in its own little deal. And we could have done that with the image, and I'll show you how to do that. What we can do is say let, and we'll say box. We'll say this is type of UI view, and then it's going to be a function that returns itself. And then we can just say let box is equal to UI view, and then box.translates auto resizing masking constraints as follows, because we're going to use NSLayoutConstraint obviously for programmatic auto layout, and then return box. Okay, so you could do the same thing with the image view. So you could cut the image view, right? You could cut it, and you could say let image view is UI view image view. Actually, you could even say UI view and just add it on after adding the properties. I won't go into that though. And then cut the view.add subview, and then you're goody to go, and you should be good. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's put the box on the screen after giving it some properties. So let's say box dot, and we'll say background color is equal to, and we're just going to say dark gray. And then I want to give it a nice little radius. So we'll say box.layer.corner radius is equal to 8 or 12 or something. And then for the frame, we can't use view.frame, but I believe if we say lazy var like lazy var like this, it'll allow us to access properties after it's declared, or at least it'll let us access things like the box. Maybe not with view. Okay, well, we'll try it. I think it'll work. I think that's the entire purpose of lazy var, of saying lazy, is basically because it takes a second before it initializes. I assume like that just seems like the logical reasoning behind the name. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just initializes, it runs this code later, right after the view did load. So I would imagine it's lazy, like it's like a lazy person waiting a bit. I don't know. So kind of like me in my videos, I wait forever. Just kidding. Actually, yeah, I should have recorded this morning and it's freaking 6:30 p.m. All right, anyway, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna put the box on the screen and constrain it a bit. So we're just gonna say view.add subview box, and then we're gonna say box.hideAnchor.constraint. And here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna actually give it like names so we can modify them later. So we'll say var and we'll say box height, and we'll say is equal to, well, is of type NSLayoutConstraint, and then exclamation point. And then go ahead and down here, let's say box height is equal to NSLayout, or sorry, box.hideAnchor.constraint is equal to constant, and we'll just say 100, and we'll say dot, well, we won't say dot is active. We'll just do that, okay? So we have our constraint now. And then now what we can do is say box height dot is active, come on, is equal to true. And then obviously we need a width. So let's get the width and then the center one, and then we will compile it, okay? So we'll copy that, and we'll say box width, and then we'll say box width, and then we'll say box dot width anchor, and then that's good to go, okay? And then we have to activate it, of course. So we'll say box width. Now, I've never tried this before, just adding it with these two kind of constraints to anything. Usually I apply like a bunch of constraints before I even add it on the, before I even like compile it, because I just assume that it needs them all. But I want to see if it'll even appear. Like I would assume that if it does, it's going to appear in the top left because we don't have an X and Y value for it. If it doesn't, we'll just go ahead and apply those values in a second. We're going to do that anyway. Okay, yeah, so it's up there. That's what I thought. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, and we're just going to say center, we'll say box center X, and then we'll say, well, we'll just say box top, and then we will set this equal to something. So we'll say box top is equal to box dot, and we'll say top anchor, and we'll say dot constraint is equal to, and we'll say view dot top, view dot, let's see, what do we want to do? We want to say view dot safe area layout guide dot top anchor. That way it can appear below the UI navigation controller. If we do that, we'll talk about that later. And then what we'll do is we will go down here and we'll say box top dot is active is equal to true. And then I always want it to be in the middle, so we can just straight up say box dot center x anchor dot constraint is equal to view dot center x anchor, and then we'll just say dot is active is equal to true. Okay, so there we go. We're kind of set up now. Let's just give it a second and see what it looks like. All right, what the,
sorry, Max.
I don't know how I always activate Siri. All right, so that's looking good. Maybe we could say like 125 just to make it more visible on in the YouTube video. And then what I want to do is I want to show you how to basically animate it into two different places and then animate the height and width. Okay, so it's going to be pretty quick. And what we'll do to do that is we'll just add a gesture recognizer to what I did in the first app, like right here, is I added a gesture recognizer to the actual box and to the background. So like if I click the background, you'll see it moves. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe it's just on the box. Oh, that was in the Trello app I was building, which is another course I'm going to provide. But basically, we want to add it to either the background or the box or both. So I'm just going to add it to the box. But first we need a function. So we'll say file private, add Objective-C func, and I'm just going to say animate box. And then I'm going to give that a capital B. And then what I'm going to do, I always put Objective-C before file private. So I'm wondering if I can just do that. That's how I would think it would compile. Okay, yeah, so whatever. We have to put this above it. So we'll say add Objective-C or to the left of it. File private func animate button talks. And then what we'll do is we'll just say box.add gesture recognizer, and then we'll say UI tap gesture recognizer, and then we're just gonna hit that and say self, and then action's gonna be selector self.animate box. Now, the reason I'm not explaining like the gesture recognizer or anything, if you don't understand it, is because this video is for animations and I want to stick to what most people are coming to this video for. Like, I'm sure there's some of you that would benefit if I explained this all, but that's not what this video is for. I'm trying to benefit the maximum amount of people who come to this video, which are going to be coming here for the animation. So that's what I'm going to explain, and we're just going to go over these other things really quick without talking about them too much. So pause it, get all this code in here, pause, get it in, pause, get it in, pause, get it in. Just get this code in here, all right? And then what we'll do in here is we're just going to say print trying to animate this this box. I don't know why I said that. All right, so what we're gonna do is wait and just see if this is working, okay? So what's goody, what's goody, what's goody? All right, and now when we click onto the box, you'll see it says trying to animate this box, okay? So it's kind of cool, or a swear word if that's what you put, because that's not what I was gonna put at all. Definitely wasn't. Don't know what you're talking about. All right, so basically what we're gonna do is we are going to basically activate different constraints and then animate them with layout if needed, okay? So let me pull up this little Safari deal here, or Chrome, and show you just a couple of these things, because I want to just show you that these are the things we're gonna be using in a second. So NSLayoutConstraint, pretty obvious that that's what we're using, the relationship between two interface objects that must be satisfied by the constraint-based layout system. And basically, this is like just a bunch of information on what we've already kind of been doing in my videos in this channel. And then animate, really pretty straightforward. I mean, if you want to come here and read it, you can. The damping ratio of spring animation as it approaches its quiescent state. I didn't even know that was a freaking word. Wait, let's see how this is pronounced. Quiescent. I had no idea that was a word. All right. In a state or period of inactivity or dormancy. So like 90% of my time. All right. To smoothly decelerate the animation without oscillation. These are dope freaking words. I think I knew about that word. Use a value of 1. All right. Employ. That's a Gary Vee word right there. He's always employ a damping ratio closer to 0 to increase oscillation. Okay. So basically what that means is the bouncing. Okay. Sweet, I'm glad I read that. Never read that. Layout if needed. Lays out the subviews immediately if layout updates are pending, okay? Use this method to force the view to update its layout immediately. When using auto layout, the layout engine updates the position of views as needed to satisfy changes in constraints using the view that receives the message as its root view. This method lays out the view subtree starting at the root. If no layout updates are pending, this method exits without modifying the layout or calling any layout-related callbacks. So if you accidentally call this method, I guess it wouldn't have any really critical performance problems. All right, anyway, what we need to do is we need to use layout if needed with UI view animations, okay, on our auto layout constraints, our NSLayout constraint. So what I want you to do is I want you to basically set another deal, and we'll say var box, and we'll say, let's try this. I want to see if we can just straight modify box height. I think we can, like the constant. So what I'm going to do is say box height dot constant is equal to 200, and then I'm just going to say UI view dot animate spring 0.3, 0 delay, 0.5 damping, spring velocity of 1, curve views in for options. Come on, auto layout. What the freak? Animations. And then completion nil. And then in the animation here, we just want to say the parent view of the actual box. Okay, so the view. So we'll say self.view.layout if needed. A lot of people will make the mistake thinking that they need to say layout if needed on the actual thing they're trying to animate, but that's not the case. What you need to do is you need to call layout if needed on the parent view, because you'll see it lays out the sub views immediately. Okay, so if we did it on the box, I don't know if it would animate it or not, but then it would try to animate all the subviews, right? But we don't have any subviews on it. We want to just lay out the subview on our view, which is box, right? So that's why we want to do it. Cool. So I'm really glad that I can change the constant. You can see that that was really cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to say 200. If it's 200, then I'm going to return 125. If it's else, or what I'll do is I'll say if it's 125, if box height dot constant is 125 right now, then what we're going to do is we are going to return 200. Is box height is 125, then what we'll do is we will return 200. If it's not 125, we'll return 125, okay? That way, if it's 125 initially, which it is, then it's going to return 200, right? But then if it's not, it's going to return 125. So when it comes back to this the second time, it's going to be 200, which means it's going to return 125 again. So it's kind of like a circle. So let me show you. If we click it, it's going to animate. Click it, animates up, okay? So let's go ahead and add in the width now. What I want to do is I just want to say box width now, and then I'm going to change this to box width. It would work with box height though. And then what we'll do is just recompile it, and now you're going to see that they both go, except for it's going to go a bit off the screen because it's still, well, actually it won't. It's basically just going to do this because the top anchor is still constrained to the safe area layout guide top anchor. So let's try that out. That's really awesome. There's so much you could do with this. All right, so what I want to do is animate it to the center of the screen. So let's change the box top anchor by saying first box top dot, well, we'll try that later. I'm thinking we might have to set it active to false and then set it active to true after we've basically redone it, or we'll have to create another variable. We'll see. Let's say box top is equal to box dot top anchor dot constraint is equal to, we'll say view dot center y anchor. I have a feeling that this isn't going to work, and if it does, it's just not going to be the appropriate way. And then because think about it, if box top is active and then we're overriding it, is it no longer active? Does that just go away? And then what happens after that? Is it still active, or do we have to reactivate it? So let's see what this does. I think it's going to break it. Yeah, so it didn't even work. So what we'll do is we will say box top dot active is equal to true. And then if this doesn't work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try deactivating it, and then above it, like right here, and then we will override it and then activate it. And then if that doesn't work, we're going to create a separate NSLayout constraint, okay? All right, so bam. All right, so it doesn't work, okay? You're seeing we're getting some errors too. So what we need to try is this. A lot of this is impromptu, and I think this is the way a lot of my videos should be, just to kind of show you how I actually debug and kind of learn how to code, because it's not like I just know everything, right? And it's not like all these other iOS YouTubers just know everything. They mess around with code like this, and this is how they figure it out. Okay, sweet. So you'll see that that works, okay? So normally, like what I would do, or any other iOS YouTuber, including myself, I'm not like blaming anyone, is we would basically figure this out and conceptualize the app, and then we would come and record a video on it, okay? So now what we can do is we can say something like, okay, well, if our width is 125, we can use this as like as a conditional. We can just say, well, if the box height constant is, and I wouldn't do this in an app. Maybe I would. It's like actually not that bad of an idea, but we could switch it based on that. So we could say question mark and then that. And then if it's not, what we can do is we can take this original one and we can put the colon there. Okay, and paste it. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out a bit, and I'm going to have you pause it and just get this code in there, because that was kind of a lot and you're probably very confused right now. Okay, so I'm going to drag this over and just let you get that in there. So it's cutting off, but you can see that you clearly know what is on the end there. Okay, I'm going to pull it there. It just says top anchor, and then it has the parenthesis. Okay, so like that. So go ahead and get that in there, and it should work. Let's compile our app and just see what it does. And basically what it's going to do is it's going to go back and forth from the top to the bottom. So it's going to be kind of cool. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. All right, click, bam, 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 bam. So that's really cool. And you can see that there's a lot you can do with this. Okay, now at the beginning of the video I said we're not going to build exactly like that, right? I'm just going to do something similar. I think I even learned more in this than I did when I was building out that other one. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something, and if you want the source code, drop a comment and I will put it on GitHub and get you that link as soon as I see. Sorry about that, guys. The audio on my mic just made like a lot of noise at the end. I don't know what's going on with it, but that is why I'm voicing this over. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video.